2053. Come in, Green. I could hardly wait to have my time wasted by another infuriating brief. Not even a full week after break, and I was already being pulled in to do some dirty work for the ungrateful senior operatives. You know why I needed to see you? That look on your face suggests you don't. Well, unfortunately, no, I don't. I'll guess that you're about to issue a stack of paperwork from the National Nanotech Initiative and tell me it's to be filed. He's tasked me with mundane activity countless times and wonders why I mostly despise him. You know, Green, if not for your extensive knowledge of this workforce and our operations, I would boot you for the attitude alone. But it's time I tell you about your objective. Our branch's parent agency, the Malignant Nanotech Deterrence Bureau, decided to give you another chance at field work. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Tell me more. As you're keenly aware, the arms race between Russia and the US is starting to spiral out of control. The nanotechnology being produced is becoming highly advanced and less detectable, making our work even more difficult. We recently intercepted a Russian message discussing spyware paired with nanoparticles. We assume the message was aimed at the Infantil Vanguard. You're well aware of the Institute for Soldier Nanotechnology. Well, intelligence suggests that they've been selling the ISN's research to Russia. The Vanguard also does their own work, though, mostly involving terrorist attacks. It was now more difficult to hide my excitement. It had been at least 6 months since my last failed field operation. Alright, tell me how I play into this. We traced the message to the location of its intended destination. We suspect that's one of Vanguard's research centers. A swarm of nanodrones were deployed to scout the base. Once that is done, the swarm will report the necessary information containment chips, or ICCs, and their locations to you. Your job is to safely extract them. It took me a minute to process because I truly couldn't believe it. I was being chosen to physically cross into enemy territory and conduct a real, genuine mission. Alright, when do I leave? Tomorrow night. This will be a stealth mission, so don't attempt anything reckless. They'll be transported to the coast of Brazil. That's where they're located. You're also going to be issued a combat suit developed by the ISN. It's extremely durable, so if you find yourself in a gunfight, you might get a bad bruise, nothing worse. Soon, I'll give you all the information about the ICCs and their locations. You will also be issued nanodrones to provide assistance. Despite my nervous energy, the following day soon ended. It was pitch black, cold, and I planned to raid a terrorist base alone. I was undoubtedly nervous. I was going to take a small, nano-coated stealth plane into Brazil, 20 miles away from the base's location. The remainder would be by car to minimize detection. The director and I boarded the plane. As we took our seats, he sent me the necessary information, including reconnaissance photos captured through my transmitter. It's a pretty large base. Use the surrounding force to your advantage and stay hidden. I nodded towards the director, and as I analyzed the pictures, I noticed my drop-off point would be on the other side of the base, away from where ICCs were located. The rest of the flight was silent, and we eventually touched down in Brazil. I stepped out and noticed my vehicle awaiting me. You'll be alone from now on. Be careful and good luck. Maybe you'll do well enough to go on more field missions, but only time will tell. I bid farewell to the director and boarded the vehicle to set off for the research center. As I homed in on the base, I adjusted the nanoparticles on the suit and vehicle to be less than 300 nanometers, just enough for partial invisibility. The real challenge would be to breach the base unnoticed. The likely scenario is that there are billions of the Vanguard's drones surrounding the base, invisible to me. I could only activate a few million before they would receive an alert. The forest surrounding the area was dense and concealed most of the buildings. I knew the base was large from the pictures, but I didn't realize the time it would take to travel towards the building holding the ICCs. I decided to further surveil the surroundings before taking action, but only seconds later, the base silence was broken with a fury of shouting guards and their pounding footsteps around every corner. My body froze. The voices and footsteps were closing in, and even with the suits cloaking, the drones could still detect me. I assumed most of the drones were older prototypes, too heavy to fly far up, but could still paint a picture of me for the terrorists. Even if I ditched the suit, it would still alert them their base was infiltrated. The scanner says the drones are grouping in that direction. Countless drones had already swarmed me, revealing my location. I was beginning to panic. Sure, I could take down 1 or 2 guards with a bulletproof suit, but an entire army? I thought for a second and, in desperation, ditched the combat suit. I tossed it high into a tree and ran into the forest. If I was lucky, the drones would try but fail to follow the suit upwards, allowing my escape. I lost my only safety and had alerted the guards that someone was here. I'll be dead if I'm not out of here in the next hour. I had already been nearly caught and hadn't even made it to the building. I knew I was close though, and with all the guards dutifully distracted, this could be my only chance to cover the rest of the distance. Using the forest as cover, I darted from tree to tree, closing in on the ICCs. After a minute of sprinting, the building was only a few meters away. The guards that would have normally been standing watch had foolishly left with the others to investigate. I seized the opportunity and slipped in unnoticed. For my mission briefing, I knew that the ICCs were housed in a room protected by a digital lock. Although digital, it still used a basic locking mechanism to secure the door. Part of the equipment provided for my mission was a small, flat box containing a few million nanojones meant for these scenarios. I deployed the drones to unlatch the door. Despite the infinitesimal mass and size, it only took a few seconds for the door to spring open. The room was full of large servers, containing hundreds of ICCs plugged into each. I deployed the rest of the drones to investigate each chip's memory cells. Within moments, I received the alert. They located the chip storing the data. I heard voices outside. I didn't think it mattered though. I found the chips I needed and was about to leave when I heard footsteps rushing in. How would they have known? Did they detect my drones? No matter how, they knew someone was here. With my cover now blown, I smashed the window and leapt out. I darted into the tree lines as the alarms were blaring across the base. I sprinted to my vehicle with shots rang out behind me. I started it up and alerted the director through my transmitter. I've got the ICCs. Get the extraction ready now. I activated the nanoparticles surrounding the vehicle to partially conceal it in hopes I might be able to escape. I sped off and eventually stopped hearing shouts, footsteps, or any other vehicles. It had all gone quiet, and as I approached my extraction vehicle, the director was sitting in the helicopter awaiting my arrival. I must say, Green, you surpassed my expectations, assuming you got the ICCs, that is. Thank you, and yes, I did. Excellent. Pilot, get us out of here. We're not taking any more chances. And Green, when you sent that transmission, you seemed in a panic. Did something go wrong? Well, they knew I was there and chased me, but after a while, they just gave up the pursuit. Do you have any idea as to why? It would seem like a waste of effort to simply give up. Well, maybe they... Hey, the pilot called. The scanners are picking up a few drones in here with us. Those are ours, right? No, I replied. I left them all back at their base. Where are they? The director asked in a panic. It appears right next to you. Get us in the air now, the director yelled. They know we're here.